I pulled into my driveway after visiting Gloria's grave, same as I did every Thursday afternoon, and knew immediately something was wrong. My key wouldn't turn in the front door lock. Before I could process what that meant, the door swung open, and my daughter-in-law Courtney stood there with a smile that made my blood run cold. "Get out," she said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "This house belongs to Travis and me now. You have no rights here anymore." She gestured to the garage where I could see my belongings thrown in trash bags. Then she slammed the door in my face. I stood there on my own front porch, keys dangling uselessly from my hand, trying to make sense of what just happened. The afternoon sun felt too bright. The birdsong from Gloria's garden too cheerful for this moment. My neighbors, the Pattersons across the street, stood at their window watching. I saw the curtain move when I looked their way. This house. I built it with my own two hands in 1993. Well, not entirely by myself. I hired contractors for the foundation and the roof, but I did all the finish work. The crown molding in the living room, the built-in shelves in what became Travis's bedroom, the deck out back where Gloria and I spent summer evenings watching fireflies. 32 years of memories inside those walls. I walked to the garage, legs feeling like they belonged to someone else. The side door was unlocked. Inside, I found my life stuffed into black garbage bags. My clothes wadded up, not folded. Gloria's photo albums tossed on top like they were trash. I picked up one album, hands shaking, and opened it. Our wedding day. Gloria in her mother's dress, me in a suit I bought on sale. Both of us, 26 years old, and stupid with happiness. I pulled out my phone and called Travis. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. I sat down on the concrete floor of the garage, surrounded by trash bags full of my existence, and waited. The concrete was cold through my jeans. The garage smelled like motor oil and betrayal. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Travis. "Dad, I can't talk long. You changed the locks on my house." My voice sounded calmer than I felt. "It's not like that." He sighed, and I heard Courtney's voice in the background, sharp and insistent. "Dad, you can't live alone anymore. Mom's been gone 18 months. You're 68. The house is too much for you. I'm managing just fine." "No, you're not. Courtney says you forget things. The neighbors have noticed. You left the stove on twice last month." "That's a lie. I never left the stove on." "Dad, we're trying to help you. We went to a lawyer. We're doing this legally." The words hit me like cold water. "What lawyer? What are you talking about?" Travis's voice dropped lower. "We filed for conservatorship. Emergency conservatorship. The judge granted it 3 days ago. I'm your legal guardian now, Dad. For your own protection." "Guardian?" "Travis, I'm not incompetent. I don't need a guardian. The doctor's report says different. You have dementia, Dad. Early stages, but it's there. You can't see it yourself. That's part of the disease." "What doctor?" "I haven't seen a doctor. Dr. Pemberton, Courtney's friend. He evaluated you." "I never met any Dr. Pemberton." "Dad, you're proving my point. You don't remember. This is exactly why we had to do this. Mom would want you taken care of." His voice cracked a little. "I'm doing this for you. Where am I supposed to sleep tonight?" Silence on the other end. Then, "We're working on finding you a place. A nice facility where you'll be safe. Just give us a few days." A facility. The word tasted like poison. "I have to go. Courtney needs the phone." He hung up. I sat in that garage as the sun moved across the sky and shadows lengthened. My mind raced, trying to piece together what just happened. Conservatorship. That's what rich people did when their elderly parents lost their minds. But I hadn't lost my mind. I was sharp. I balanced my checkbook every month. I remembered everything. Last week I drove to Cincinnati to visit Gloria's sister Margaret. 230 miles there and back, no problems. Yesterday I did the crossword puzzle in 18 minutes. Then pieces started clicking into place. Small things over the past few months that hadn't made sense at the time. Courtney asking the Pattersons if I seemed confused when I was just thinking. My mail piling up inside the house when I always opened it immediately. She must have been hiding it. My doctor's appointment last month that got canceled. The receptionist said I called to cancel, but I never did. Courtney must have done it, trying to prevent me from having recent medical records showing I was fine. She'd been planning this since Gloria's funeral. Maybe before. I thought about Courtney at the funeral, measuring the living room with her eyes while people were still offering condolences, commenting that the house was too big for one person, asking about the property value. I thought she was just making conversation. Now I understood. She was planning, calculating. My son. My only child. The boy I taught to ride a bike. The teenager I stayed up late helping with algebra homework. The young man who cried at his mother's bedside those last days. That son just locked me out of my own house based on lies. I pulled one of the trash bags toward me and found my winter coat. It was only October, but the nights were getting cold. I grabbed another bag with some clothes and my toiletries. Found Gloria's photo, in a small frame, wrapped it in a shirt so it wouldn't break. Then I got in my truck and drove to the Walmart parking lot 3 miles away. That's where I spent my first night homeless at 68 years old. Stretched out in the back seat of my Ford F-150, wrapped in my winter coat, looking at Gloria's picture in the dim glow of the parking lot lights. I don't know what to do, I whispered to her photo. Our boy, our Travis. How did we raise someone who could do this? But I knew the answer. We didn't raise him to be this. Courtney made him this. 5 years of marriage to that woman had hollowed him out, turned him into someone I didn't recognize. I must have dozed off eventually because I woke to someone tapping on the truck window. A security guard, young guy. Maybe 25. Sir, you can't sleep here. Just resting my eyes, I said. You've been here 4 hours. I've walked past 3 times. You need to move along, so I drove. Nowhere to go. Just drove around until the sun came up. At 7 in the morning, I pulled into the parking lot of First National Bank. I'd been banking there for 40 years. Same bank where Gloria and I opened our first joint account 2 days after we got married. I waited in my truck until the doors opened at 8, then walked inside. Morning, Finn, said the teller, a woman named Dorothy who I'd known for 15 years. How can I help you? Need to withdraw some money, Dorothy. $500. She typed on her computer, then frowned. Finn, I'm showing your accounts are frozen. Frozen? What do you mean frozen? Says here there's a court order. Conservatorship hold. As of 3 days ago. She looked uncomfortable. You'll need to speak with Mr. Brennan, the manager. Gerald Brennan came out of his office, suit and tie, sympathetic face. We'd served on the church fundraising committee together, back when I still went to church, before Gloria got sick. Finn, I'm sorry. There's a legal conservatorship in place. Your son Travis is listed as conservator. All your accounts are under his control now. How much is in there, Gerald? He checked his screen. Total across checking and savings, you have $127,418.63. My life savings. Money Gloria and I saved over 43 years of marriage. Every penny we didn't spend on necessities, we saved. Never took fancy vacations. Drove used cars. Clipped coupons. All so we'd be secure in our old age. And I can't touch any of it? Not without your conservator's approval. I'm sorry, Finn. My hands are tied. It's a court order. This is fraud, Gerald. I'm not incompetent. That's my money. I believe you. But legally, I can't help. You need to talk to a lawyer. Get the conservatorship overturned. He lowered his voice. Between you and me, this stinks. But if I violate that court order, the bank could be liable. I checked my wallet. $63. That's all I had to my name. From the bank, I drove to the police station. Sergeant Watkins listened to my story, taking notes. He was younger than my son, looked like he should still be in high school. Mr. Doyle, I understand you're upset, but this is a civil matter. There's a court order in place. We can't intervene in a legal conservatorship. It's fraud. The medical report is fake. I never saw that doctor. Then you need to prove that in court. Hire a lawyer. Get the conservatorship dissolved. We can't help with civil disputes. I have no money for a lawyer. They froze my accounts. He looked genuinely sorry. I wish I could help, but our hands are tied. This is between you and the courts. I left the police station feeling like I was drowning. Every door closing, every avenue blocked. I thought about my friend Harold. We'd been friends since we moved to this town in '92. Fishing buddies. We'd helped each other build our decks. Our wives had been in book club together. If anyone would help, it would be Harold. I drove to his house, a ranch similar to mine about 2 miles away. His wife Phyllis answered the door. She looked nervous when she saw me. Finn. Hi. Harold's not here right now. Phyllis. I need help. Can I come in? She glanced back into the house. Finn? I don't think that's a good idea. Phyllis. It's me. We've known each other 30 years. I know, honey. I know. But Courtney called us. She said you're having some problems. Memory issues. She said you might show up confused and paranoid. I'm not confused. I'm not paranoid. She's stealing from me. That's family business, Finn. We don't want to get in the middle of it. You should go back to Travis and work this out. She changed the locks on my house. It's probably for the best. You shouldn't be living alone. Not at your age. Not with your condition. She started closing the door. I'm sorry, Finn. I really am. But we can't get involved. I tried 2 more friends. Same story. Courtney had called them all, laid the groundwork, told them I was deteriorating mentally, warned them I might say crazy things, poisoned every well. By afternoon, I was back in my truck, trying to figure out my next move. Then I remembered the courthouse. Public records. I could see the conservatorship filing myself. The county courthouse sat downtown, a limestone building from 1898. I'd been inside once before, for jury duty 20 years ago. The clerk directed me to the civil records office on the 2nd floor. A woman behind the counter helped me pull the file. Case number 24-3867. Travis Doyle, petitioner, requesting emergency conservatorship over Finn Doyle, respondent. I sat at a table and read through the documents. Each page made me sicker. The medical evaluation from Dr. Gerald Pemberton painted me as a man in serious cognitive decline. Memory loss, confusion, inability to manage finances, wandering behavior, aggressive outbursts toward family members. None of it was true. Not one word. But there it was, on official letterhead, notarized and filed with the court. Then I found the witness statements. 3 neighbors, the Pattersons across the street, the Johnsons 2 doors down, Mrs. Chen next door, all saying they'd observed erratic behavior. Finn leaving the house in his bathrobe at odd hours. Finn forgetting where he parked his truck. Finn getting angry when questioned about his confusion. I knew these people. We'd lived on the same street for 32 years. But they weren't really friends. Just neighbors. Courtney had gotten friendly with them over the past year, especially after Gloria died. Brought them wine, invited them over for coffee. I remembered seeing her chatting with Mrs. Chen over the fence, both of them looking at my house, shaking their heads. She'd cultivated them specifically as witnesses. But the worst document was at the bottom of the file. A quitclaim deed, dated 2 weeks ago, transferring the property at 418 Maple Street from Finn Doyle to Travis Doyle. The signature looked like mine, but I never signed it. I would remember signing away my house. It was forged. Had to be. But proving forgery required experts, handwriting analysis. Money I didn't have. I sat in that courthouse bathroom afterward, locked in a stall, trying not to cry like a child. 68 years old, and I'd been completely outmaneuvered by a woman half my age. She'd planned this for months, maybe longer. Every detail thought through. Every escape route blocked. Then I remembered something Gloria said. About 6 months before she died, when she was still lucid, still herself. We'd been sitting on the back deck, watching the sunset. She'd gotten quiet. That look on her face like she was working through a problem. Finn, she'd said, if anything happens to me, you need to protect yourself. Nothing's going to happen, I'd said, because I couldn't face it. Listen to me. That girl Travis married. Courtney. She's not right. I see how she looks at this house. How she asks about our savings. She's calculating something. You're just tired, honey. No. I see her clearly. Promise me something. Promise me you'll protect yourself. Don't let her take what we built. I promise. She'd made me go with her to see Bernard Walsh, our lawyer. This was before she got really sick, when she could still walk without help. We'd sat in Bernard's office for 2 hours. Gloria insisted on setting up some kind of protection. What was it? A trust? Yes, a trust. To protect the house. I looked at my watch. 4:30 in the afternoon. Bernard's office was on 3rd Street, 10 minutes away. I gathered up the courthouse documents and hurried out. Bernard Walsh had been our lawyer for 30 years. Handled our wills, helped us with the house deed back in '93, dealt with a property line dispute with our neighbors in 2005. He was 71 now, partially retired, working 3 days a week from a small office above the hardware store. His secretary said he was with a client, but would be free in 10 minutes. I waited in the tiny reception area, leafing through a magazine without seeing the words. When Bernard called me in, he took one look at my face and closed the door behind us. Finn, I heard what happened. I was going to call you. You heard? Small town. Word gets around. Travis filed for conservatorship. Changed the locks on you. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Sit down. You look terrible. I told him everything. The frozen accounts. The fake medical report. The forged deed. The witnesses Courtney had cultivated. Bernard listened, fingers steepled under his chin, the way he always did when he was thinking. When I finished, he opened his file cabinet and pulled out a folder. Finn, your wife was a very wise woman. Do you remember coming here with her 8 months ago? The trust thing. She wanted to protect the house. Not just any trust. An irrevocable trust. Let me show you. He opened the folder and spread documents across his desk. In February of this year, you and Gloria transferred ownership of your house to the Doyle Family Irrevocable Trust. The trust document states that you have the right to live in the house for the rest of your life. But Travis is not the beneficiary. I leaned forward. What? Gloria insisted on this. She didn't trust Courtney, so she named her sister Margaret as the trust beneficiary. Upon your death, the house goes to Margaret, not Travis. You can't sell it. Travis can't inherit it. It's protected. Hope flared in my chest for the first time in days. So that quitclaim deed is worthless? Completely. Travis can't claim ownership of a house that's not yours to give. It belongs to the trust. Bernard smiled. Your wife saw this coming, Finn. She protected you. Can we use this to get the conservatorship overturned? Absolutely. The whole conservatorship was filed under false pretenses. We can prove the medical report is fraudulent. I'll file an emergency motion to dissolve it, but it'll take about 2 weeks to get a court date. 2 weeks. Where do I stay until then? Bernard thought for a moment. I have a cabin upstate, about 3 hours from here, on Stillwater Lake. It's empty this time of year. You can stay there. I'll give you the keys. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a key ring. Here, and take this. He handed me $500 bills. Pay me back when your accounts are unfrozen. I felt like I could breathe for the first time since this nightmare started. Bernard, I don't know how to thank you. Thank your wife. She's the one who saw this coming. He wrote down directions to the cabin. It's quiet up there. Peaceful. Take some time. Collect yourself. I'll handle the legal work. I left his office feeling like, maybe, just maybe, this would work out. The trust documents were the key. Proof that Courtney's whole scheme was built on sand. The drive to the cabin took 3 hours. I stopped at a gas station and bought some sandwiches, coffee, basic supplies. By the time I found the turnoff to Stillwater Lake, it was past midnight. The road wound through thick woods. No streetlights. Just my headlights cutting through the dark. Bernard's cabin sat at the end of a gravel drive, surrounded by pine trees. Single story. Maybe 800 square feet. I could hear the lake lapping against the shore, somewhere in the darkness. I parked and grabbed my bag from the truck. That's when I saw the other car. A silver Honda Accord, parked on the far side of the cabin. My stomach dropped. I knew that car. I walked to the front door. It was unlocked. Light spilled from the windows. I pushed the door open. Courtney stood in the middle of the living room, surrounded by file boxes and papers spread across the floor. Travis sat on the couch, looking miserable. They both turned when I walked in. "Well, well," Courtney said. "The wandering old man found his way after all. What are you doing here?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Following you, obviously. You really should be more careful about your phone, Finn. That helpful update I installed last month? It's tracking software. I've known everywhere you've been for weeks." She smiled. "Including your little visit to Bernard Walsh's office." I looked at Travis. "You're part of this? Dad, just let us handle things. It's for the best." Courtney kicked one of the file boxes. "Your precious lawyer keeps his backup files here. How careless. We've been looking for something specific." She held up a document, partially burned. "This trust you think is going to save you? Oops. Fire hazard." She tossed it into the fireplace where flames were already eating through other papers. I lunged forward, trying to grab the documents from the fire. "No!" Travis jumped up and grabbed me, his arms around my chest. "Dad, stop!" I struggled, broke free, reached into the fireplace. The heat seared my hands. I pulled out what I could, papers blackened and crumbling. Travis grabbed me again, pulled me back. "Let me go." I shoved him hard, harder than I meant to. He stumbled back against the coffee table. Courtney screamed, "He's attacking us! Travis, he's having an episode!" She pulled out her phone, dialed 911. "Help! My father-in-law. He's not in his right mind." He broke into a cabin. "He's attacking us." She dragged her fingernails across her own arm, drawing blood. "He's violent. Please hurry." "Courtney, no," Travis said, but his voice was weak. I looked at my hands, burned and blistered, at the ashes in the fireplace, at my son's face, torn between his wife and his father. "Travis," I said, "don't let her do this." He looked away. Within 15 minutes, red and blue lights flashed through the trees. 2 sheriff's deputies entered the cabin. They saw an elderly man with burned hands, a young woman with a bleeding arm, and scattered papers everywhere. Courtney played her part perfectly, crying, scared. "He's been diagnosed with dementia. We're his legal guardians. He ran away. We tracked him here. When we tried to help him, he attacked us." The deputies looked at me. "Sir, are you Finn Doyle?" "Yes. There's a conservatorship order for you. These folks are your legal guardians. You need to come with us. This is all lies. She's destroying evidence. Check the fireplace." One deputy looked. "Just ashes now." "Sir, you're under arrest for assault and criminal trespassing." They handcuffed me, read me my rights, walked me out to the patrol car while Courtney hugged Travis and cried on his shoulder. I spent that night in the county lockup. The cell smelled like disinfectant and despair. My hands throbbed where I'd burned them reaching into the fire, but the physical pain was nothing compared to watching everything I'd hoped for literally go up in smoke. The trust documents. Gone. My proof. My protection. All ashes now. I sat in that cell for 3 days before anyone came to see me. The county jail was old, built sometime in the 50s, all concrete and steel bars. My cellmate was a kid named Danny, in for possession, 22 years old, and already looking at his 3rd strike. He didn't talk much, which suited me fine. On the 3rd day, a public defender showed up. Her name was Amanda Rivers, maybe 30 years old, carrying a briefcase that looked older than she was. She had 7 other cases that morning. I was just a number. "Mr. Doyle, I've reviewed the charges. Assault and criminal trespass. The district attorney is offering a plea. If you plead guilty, they'll recommend time served plus probation." "I'm not pleading guilty. I didn't assault anyone." She sighed. "Mr. Doyle, your daughter-in-law has scratches on her arm. There are witnesses. You were found at a cabin you had no legal right to be in. Bernard Walsh gave me permission. It's his cabin. He gave me the keys. Mr. Walsh states, he doesn't recall giving you permission. Says you may have taken the keys without asking." My stomach turned. He's lying. Or they got to him. I don't know. But he gave me those keys. With all due respect, there's a medical diagnosis of dementia in your file. The DA will argue you don't remember correctly. A jury will believe it. She checked her watch. Look, I have 4 more clients to see this morning. Take the plea. It's your best option. I want a trial. That's your right. Trial date will be set for about 6 weeks out. She closed her briefcase. Think about the plea. After she left, a guard came to tell me I'd made bail. $15,000. Someone had posted it. I walked out into the processing area and found Bernard Walsh waiting. Bernard. Thank God. He looked uncomfortable. Finn, we need to talk. We sat in his car in the jail parking lot. He wouldn't start the engine. Why did you tell them you didn't give me permission to use the cabin? I didn't tell them that. Courtney's lawyer called me, asked leading questions. I said I couldn't recall the specifics of our conversation. That's all. He rubbed his face. Finn, I'm 71 years old. I'm trying to help you, but I can't commit perjury. It's not perjury. You gave me the keys. I know, but my memory isn't what it used to be. Her lawyer will tear me apart on the stand if I testify. I'm sorry. We drove back to Bernard's office in silence. Inside, he showed me more bad news. Without the original trust documents, we have a problem. I have copies here in my office files, but Courtney's lawyer will argue we fabricated them. Say we created them after the fact to help your case. But the trust was recorded, wasn't it? At the county recorder's office? Bernard looked pained. It should have been. I gave the documents to my paralegal to file, but I checked with the recorder's office yesterday. There's no record of it. My paralegal must have never filed it. She left my practice 6 months ago. I can't even ask her about it. So the trust isn't valid? It's valid. We have the signed documents, but proving it existed before all this started is going to be difficult. I felt the walls closing in again. What about the fake medical report? We can prove that's fraudulent. Can we? You'd need to prove you never met Dr. Pemberton, but Courtney will say you don't remember meeting him because of your dementia. It's circular logic, but it works. This can't be happening. There's more. Bernard handed me another document. Courtney filed an additional petition 2 days ago. She's asking the court to declare you permanently incompetent, not just emergency conservatorship, but permanent. She wants authority to place you in a long-term care facility, a nursing home. Yes. She's already identified one. Shady Glen Nursing Center, $8,000 a month. She claims the proceeds from selling your house will cover your care costs. I did the math in my head. My house was worth about $340,000. At $8,000 a month, they'd burn through my assets in about 3.5 years. Then they'd dump me on Medicaid and walk away with whatever was left. She's planned every detail, I said. She's smart. I'll give her that. Ruthless, but smart. What do I do, Bernard? I don't know. I'm sorry, Finn. I truly don't know. That afternoon, I checked into the Starlight Motel on Route 33. $39 a night, weekly rates available. The room smelled like cigarette smoke poorly covered with air freshener. The bed sagged in the middle, but it was shelter. I was sitting on that bed, trying to figure out my next move, when someone knocked through the peephole. I saw Travis. I opened the door. We looked at each other for a long moment. Can I come in? He asked. I stepped aside. He sat in the single chair by the window. I sat on the bed. We were 5 feet apart, but it felt like miles. Dad, I'm sorry. Are you? I never wanted it to go this far. I swear. Then stop it. Tell the truth. He shook his head. I can't. Dad, you don't understand. Courtney has everything documented. She recorded me talking about the plan. She has me on tape agreeing to the fake medical reports. If I back out now, she'll make sure I go to prison. She's already threatened it. So she's blackmailing you. I lost my job 4 months ago. Layoffs at the plant. We're $78,000 in debt. Credit cards, car loans. We're 2 months from foreclosure on our house. We're desperate, Dad. Your house, your savings, it could save us. So you destroy me to save yourself. I'm trapped. Don't you see that? If I help you now, we lose everything, and I still go to prison. Courtney made sure of that. She's always 3 steps ahead. You're my son. I know. His voice broke. I know what I am. I look in the mirror, and I don't recognize myself. But it's too late. The only way out is through. You want me to just give up? Let you put me in a nursing home? Watch while your wife steals everything your mother and I worked for? Maybe it would be easier. For both of us. He stood up. Just think about it, Dad. Let this happen. I promise I'll visit you. I'll make sure you're taken care of. Get out. Dad, get out of my room. He left. I heard his car start, drive away. Then I lay back on that sagging bed and stared at the water-stained ceiling. My son. The boy I taught to throw a baseball. The teenager I drove to his first job interview. The young man who asked my permission before proposing to Courtney, back when I still thought she was just a normal woman with a sharp tongue. That son was gone. Replaced by this hollow thing who would lock up his own father to save his mortgage. I thought about Gloria. Wondered what she would say if she could see this. Our only child. Choosing money over family. Choosing a manipulative wife over his father. But I knew what Gloria would say. I could hear her voice clear as day. Don't let her win, Finn. Be smarter than she is. Problem was, I didn't know how. I was out of options. Out of money. Out of allies. The conservatorship hearing was in 4 days. Without the trust documents, without proof, I had nothing. I must have fallen asleep, because I woke up to my phone ringing. 8 o'clock at night. Number I didn't recognize. Mr. Doyle? This is Bernard Walsh. I found something. You need to come to my office first thing tomorrow morning. I found something that changes everything. I barely slept that night. Kept wondering what Bernard found. Every time I started to drift off, hope would jolt me awake. By 5 in the morning, I gave up and drove to the diner on Main Street. Ate eggs and toast I couldn't taste. Drank coffee that sat in my stomach like acid. Bernard's office didn't open until 9. I was parked outside at 7:30, watching the sun come up over the hardware store below his office. At 8:55, I saw him walking down the sidewalk, briefcase in hand. He saw me and waved me up. Inside his office, he didn't sit down. He looked excited, energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. Finn, you're not going to believe this. My paralegal, the one who was supposed to file the trust documents. Yesterday I was going through old filing cabinets in the storage room, cleaning out old case files. Found a whole box of unfiled documents from last year, including yours. The trust was filed? It was. Just misfiled at the county recorder's office. Wrong reference number. My paralegal filed it under the wrong code. But it's there, recorded and dated 8 months ago. I have the official recorded copy right here. He spread the documents on his desk. The Doyle Family Irrevocable Trust, dated February 14th. Signed by me and Gloria. Notarized. Recorded at the county on February 16th. File number 2, 4-0873. This proves the trust exists. The house belongs to the trust, not me, not Travis. The quitclaim deed Courtney forged is meaningless. Better than that. Bernard was grinning now. I've been doing some digging. I contacted Dr. Pemberton's office, asked for copies of his medical evaluation of you. His staff was confused. Said they have no record of you as a patient. So I subpoenaed his records. Can you do that? Emergency motion. Judge granted it yesterday. And guess what? Dr. Pemberton never examined you. Never met you. The whole report is fabricated. His nurse was horrified when she found out. She's willing to testify that Pemberton created that evaluation based solely on information Courtney provided. No actual medical exam. It's fraud, Finn. Medical fraud. Will the judge believe it? With the nurse's testimony? Absolutely. And there's more. He pulled out another file. I did some research into Courtney's background, ran some searches, found something interesting. She had a sealed juvenile record. But I have a friend in the system. Courtney was arrested when she was 17 for forging checks from her grandmother's account. Criminal record. Juvenile, so it's sealed. But it establishes a pattern. And get this. I found an obituary from 7 years ago. Courtney's mother, Margaret, died in a state nursing facility in Michigan. At age 73. The obituary mentions she's survived by 2 daughters, Courtney and Julie. Courtney has a sister? Had. Julie Hendricks. I did some searching, Found her living in Dayton. I called her this morning. Finn, Courtney did this before, to her own mother. Got conservatorship, sold her mother's house, drained her accounts, put her in a terrible nursing home, where she died 6 months later. Julie tried to stop it but didn't have the resources. My hands started shaking. So this is her pattern. Yes. And Julie wants to help. She's willing to testify, willing to provide documentation of what Courtney did to their mother. The FBI could get involved. Elder fraud is a federal crime. For the first time in days, I felt something besides despair. So we can stop her. We can. The conservatorship hearing is in 3 days. I'll present all of this. The valid trust, the fraudulent medical report, the pattern of elder abuse. The judge will have to dissolve the conservatorship. What do I do until then? Stay low. Stay safe. I'll handle everything. He handed me his cabin keys again. Go back to the cabin. It's yours until this is over. Courtney won't expect you to go back there after what happened. I left his office feeling like maybe Gloria's protection would work after all. Like maybe her wisdom from beyond the grave would save me. I stopped at the grocery store, bought supplies for a few days, then drove the 3 hours back to Stillwater Lake. The cabin looked the same as before. No sign anyone had been there since that awful night. I unlocked the door, half expecting Courtney to jump out. But it was empty, quiet. Just the sound of the lake lapping against the shore. I unloaded my groceries, made coffee, sat on the porch looking at the water. First moment of peace I'd had in over a week. That's when I heard a car coming up the gravel drive. My stomach clenched. I thought about running. But where would I go? A blue Subaru pulled up. A woman got out. 40s, dark hair, tired eyes. She walked up to the porch. Mr. Doyle? I'm Julie Hendricks. I'm Courtney's sister. Can we talk? I invited her inside. We sat at the small kitchen table. She had a folder with her, thick with documents. Mr. Walsh called me, she said. Told me what Courtney's doing to you. I'm so sorry. I should have warned you when she married your son, but I didn't know she'd picked another target until it was too late. Tell me about your mother. Julie's eyes filled with tears. Mom was a widow, lived alone in a little house in Lansing, sharp as a tack, 73 years old, and still volunteering at the library, doing her own taxes. Courtney was always asking her for money. Mom said no, so Courtney decided to take it. Same pattern? Fake medical reports? Exactly. Found a corrupt social worker, a doctor willing to lie, got conservatorship in 2 months. By the time I found out what was happening, Mom's house was sold, her accounts emptied. Courtney put her in the worst facility I've ever seen. State-run, understaffed, smelled like death. Why didn't you stop it? I tried. I hired a lawyer, but I was broke, working 2 jobs just to keep my own head above water. The lawyer wanted $20,000 up front for a fight like that. I didn't have it. By the time I scraped together enough for a decent lawyer, Mom was dead. Heart attack. But I think it was really a broken heart. And Courtney got everything. Every penny. $89,000 plus the house sale. She was 24 years old, burned through it in 3 years. That's when she started looking for her next mark. Julie looked at me with something like pity. I saw your son's name in the legal notice. Recognized him from when Courtney and I were still speaking, before Mom died. I knew what she was doing. Why are you helping me? Because I couldn't save my mother. Maybe I can save you. And maybe, finally, Courtney will face consequences. She opened her folder. Inside were copies of her mother's conservatorship case. Medical reports that looked identical in structure to mine. The same doctor who lost his license 2 years later for fraud. Witness statements that were obviously coached. Bank records showing Courtney draining accounts. This is evidence of a pattern. Bernie Walsh can use this. That's why I brought it. But Mr. Doyle, you need to understand something. My sister is very smart. If she even suspects I'm helping you, she'll find a way to turn this around. She always does. How did you find me here? Bernie gave me the address. Said you might need someone who understands what you're going through. She hesitated. There's something else. I've been tracking Courtney for years. waiting for her to do this again. I have a friend, a private investigator named Chuck Brennan. He specializes in elder fraud cases. He's willing to help, pro bono. He hates people like Courtney. What can he do that Bernard can't? Get evidence the legal way can't touch. Courtney's smart, but she's also arrogant. She brags. She gloats. If we can get her to incriminate herself on tape, it's game over. You want me to wear a wire? Not exactly. More like provoke her into showing her true colors where we can document it. Chuck has equipment, experience, but it's risky. If Courtney figures out what we're doing, she could accelerate everything. Get you locked up before the hearing. I thought about it. 3 days until the hearing. Bernard had good evidence, but was it enough? Courtney had fooled judges before, according to Julie. What if she fooled this one too? What's your plan? Chuck thinks if you confront Courtney directly, try to negotiate, she'll get cocky. She'll say things she shouldn't. We record it all. Between that and Bernie's evidence, the judge will have no choice. When? Tomorrow. We need time to set it up properly. Chuck's driving up from Dayton tonight. We'll meet here in the morning, go over everything. After Julie left, I sat on the cabin porch watching the sun set over Stillwater Lake. Tomorrow I'd be facing Courtney again, the woman who destroyed Julie's mother, the woman trying to destroy me. But this time I wouldn't be alone. This time I'd have people who understood what she was. This time I'd have a chance. I thought about Gloria, about that day she made me promise to protect myself. She knew. Somehow she knew exactly what Courtney was capable of, and she'd tried to save me. Tomorrow, I'd find out if her protection was enough. Chuck Brennan arrived at the cabin at 8 in the morning. He was 50-something. Gray hair, eyes that had seen too much. Former police detective, Julie told me. Retired early, and started his own investigative agency, specializing in elder fraud. Mr. Doyle, he said, shaking my hand. I'm sorry about what you're going through. I've seen a dozen cases like this. People like Courtney make me sick. We sat around the cabin's kitchen table. Chuck laid out his equipment. A small wireless microphone that would clip inside my shirt. A backup recorder in my pocket. A video camera hidden in what looked like a regular pen. The key is getting her comfortable, Chuck explained. You're going to call her, say you want to talk, say you're ready to negotiate. She'll see it as surrender. That's when people like her get cocky. What do I say? Let her talk. The more she talks, the more she'll reveal. Ask about the medical report. Ask about the fake witnesses. She'll want to gloat about how clever she was. They always do, Julie added. My sister has an ego. She thinks she's smarter than everyone. If you play defeated, she'll want to rub your nose in it. One problem, I said. Courtney filed a restraining order. I'm not supposed to go near her. I know, Chuck said. That's why we're recording everything. If she agrees to meet with you, that's proof she's not actually afraid. It undermines her whole narrative. That you're dangerous. We spent an hour going over scenarios. What to say, what not to say. How to keep her talking without making it obvious I was fishing for information. At 10 o'clock, I made the call. Courtney answered on the third ring. Well, well, the runaway grandfather. Tired of sleeping in your truck? Courtney, I want to talk. Can we meet? About what? About ending this. You win. I can't fight you anymore, but I want to negotiate the terms. Silence on the other end. I could almost hear her thinking. Where are you? Does it matter? I suppose not. Where do you want to meet? The house. Our house. One last time. It's not your house anymore, Finn. But fine. Come by at 2 o'clock. Travis will be at work. Just you and me. She hung up. Chuck checked his equipment. Perfect. She took the bait. Now remember, stay calm. Don't get angry. Let her do the talking. The 3-hour drive back to town felt like 3 days. Julie drove. Chuck sat in back, monitoring the recording equipment. I rehearsed what I'd say, how I'd play broken and defeated. We parked 2 blocks from my house. Chuck and Julie would wait in the van, listening to everything. If things went wrong, they'd call the police. At exactly 2 o'clock, I walked up to my own front door and knocked. Courtney opened it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Come in, old man. Let's talk. The house looked different. She'd redecorated in 2 weeks. New furniture, new curtains, Gloria's careful choices erased like they'd never existed. Like 32 years of our life here meant nothing. Nice what you've done with the place, I said. Had to modernize. Your wife's taste was very dated. She sat on a new leather couch. I sat across from her on a chair I'd never seen before. So you're ready to surrender? I don't have much choice, do I? You've blocked every move I could make. I have. It was actually quite easy. You old people. You're so trusting. So naive. You never see it coming. The medical report was clever. How did you get Dr. Pemberton to write it? She laughed. Gerald? We dated in college. He owes me favors. I told him what to write. He wrote it. Simple. And you never actually examined me. Why would he need to? I gave him all the symptoms to include. Memory loss, confusion, wandering. The judge ate it up. She was enjoying this. The best part was the neighbors. I spent 6 months buttering them up. Wine, coffee, gossip. Then all I had to do was suggest you were declining. They saw what I told them to see. What about the quitclaim deed? The one transferring the house to Travis? Forged your signature. Got pretty good at it after practicing on old checks I found in your desk. The notary was another of Gerald's friends. Cost me $500 for her to stamp it without actually witnessing anything. She was giving me everything. Every confession. Every detail. The recording device in my pocket was getting it all. And Travis? How did you get him to go along with this? Her smile turned cold. Your son is weak. Always has been. I knew that when I married him. Found him at his grandfather's funeral, all sad and vulnerable. Perfect target. Took me 3 dates to figure out he'd inherit this house someday. Took me 5 years to position everything perfectly. You married him for this house. Not just the house. The savings, too. Your precious nest egg. $127,000. Plus, the house is worth what, $340? $350? That's almost $500,000, Finn. That's worth 5 years of pretending to love your boring son. What happens to Travis when you're done? Divorce. Obviously. Once I have the money, I don't need him anymore. He served his purpose. She leaned forward. Want to know the best part? I've been documenting his cooperation. I have recordings of him agreeing to the fraud. If he tries to back out now, he goes to prison right alongside me. Except he'll actually go. I won't. Why won't you? Because I'm smarter than the system. I've done this before, got away with it before, I'll get away with it again. Your mother? Her eyes widened slightly. What about my mother? I know what you did to her. Julie told me everything. Courtney's face hardened. That meddling cow. She's been trying to ruin me for years. My mother was a bitter old woman who refused to help her own daughter. I just helped myself to what should have been mine anyway. You killed her. I put her in a nursing home. Not my fault she couldn't handle it. Weak heart. Weak mind. Just like you'll be in a few years, rotting in Shady Glen while I enjoy your money. The front door opened. Travis walked in. I thought you'd be at work, Courtney said. Travis looked at me, then at Courtney. Something in his face was different. Harder. I called in sick. Thought I should be here. Well, your father and I are having a private conversation. I heard. Travis walked closer. Left early, actually. Been sitting in the garage for the past 10 minutes. Heard everything. Courtney stood up. Travis, don't be ridiculous. How you married me for the money. How you're planning to divorce me. How you got me to commit fraud and documented it so you could blackmail me. His voice shook. Is any of it real, Courtney? Did you ever love me? Love? She laughed. Don't be pathetic. Travis noticed my shirt. The edge of the wire showing. He pointed at it. Dad's recording you. Courtney's eyes went to my chest. In one fast motion, she grabbed my shirt and ripped it open. The microphone clattered to the floor. She grabbed it and smashed it under her heel. You conniving old bastard, she snarled. She pulled out her phone and called 911. Help, I need the police. My father-in-law broke into my house. He's trying to hurt me. He's having a violent episode. Travis stood there, frozen. Travis, I said, don't let her do this again. He looked at his father, then at his wife. Years of manipulation, warring with what he'd just heard. Then he turned to Courtney. No. What? I said no. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. Chuck and Julie burst through the front door. Police are on the way, Chuck said. But we got everything. The backup recorder in his pocket. Every word. Courtney's face went white. By the time the police arrived, we had everything ready. Chuck showed them his PI license, explained we were investigating elder fraud, showed them the backup recording, still running in my pocket. Julie provided documentation of Courtney's previous fraud. The officers listened to enough of the recording to understand what was happening. One of them called his supervisor. More officers arrived. Then a detective. Then someone from the county prosecutor's office. Courtney tried every angle. Claimed the recording was illegal. Claimed I'd threatened her. Claimed she was the victim, but the recording didn't lie. Her voice, clear and proud, describing every detail of the fraud. The prosecutor made some calls. That evening, Courtney was arrested. So was Dr. Pemberton. Charged with elder fraud, conspiracy, forgery, medical fraud. Travis wasn't arrested. They wanted him to testify against Courtney. He agreed. After years of being controlled and blackmailed, he finally chose the right side. Too late to fix our relationship. That was broken beyond repair. But at least he chose truth. I spent that night in a hotel. A nice one this time. Bernard had gotten the court to release my accounts immediately given the proven fraud. I ordered room service and ate the first real meal I'd had in 2 weeks. But I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about how close it had come. If Gloria hadn't insisted on that trust. If Bernard's paralegal had actually lost the filing. If Julie hadn't come forward. If Chuck hadn't gotten that recording. Any one thing different, and I'd be in Shady Glen right now, watching Courtney spend my money. The conservatorship hearing was the next day. I had to be there to officially end it. I arrived at the courthouse at 8:30 in the morning. Bernard was already there, along with Julie and Chuck. The prosecutor assigned to Courtney's case showed up too. This hearing had become much bigger than a simple conservatorship dissolution. We sat in the hallway waiting. At 9 o'clock, the bailiff called us in. The courtroom was small, wood-paneled, smelling like old paper and furniture polish. Judge Patricia Brennan presided. She was maybe 60, gray hair pulled back, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Courtney's lawyer was there, looking uncomfortable. His client was in jail, facing federal charges. He was probably wishing he'd never taken this case. Travis sat in the back row. He didn't look at me. We're here regarding the conservatorship of Finn Doyle, Judge Brennan said. I've reviewed the new evidence submitted yesterday. Quite frankly, I'm appalled. This conservatorship was obtained through fraud. Medical fraud, witness tampering, forged documents. Mr. Doyle, I owe you an apology. The court failed you. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm dissolving the conservatorship effective immediately. Your accounts will be unfrozen. You'll have full control of your assets restored. She looked at Courtney's lawyer. Your client is facing serious criminal charges. I assume you'll be withdrawing from this case? Yes, Your Honor. There's one more matter, Bernard said. He stood and approached the bench. Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence regarding the property at 418 Maple Street. He laid out the trust documents. The recorded deed from 8 months ago. Proof that the house had been transferred to an irrevocable trust before any of Courtney's fraud began. The house never belonged to Travis Doyle, Bernard explained. The quitclaim deed filed by Mrs. Courtney Doyle is fraudulent. The property is held in trust, with Mr. Finn Doyle having life occupancy rights. Judge Brennan examined the documents. This trust is valid. The house belongs to the trust. She looked up. Is there anything else? Bernard smiled. Actually, yes. 3 weeks ago, acting under authority granted by the trust documents, I facilitated a sale of the property from the trust to Margaret Sullivan, the trust beneficiary, and sister of Mr. Doyle's late wife. Mrs. Sullivan purchased the property for fair market value. The proceeds went into a new protected trust for Mr. Doyle's care and expenses. The sale is legal and binding. So the house has already been sold? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Sullivan is the legal owner as of 3 weeks ago. That's when the courtroom doors opened. Gloria's sister Margaret walked in. She was 71, looked like an older version of Gloria. Seeing her, I almost cried. "I'm the new owner," Margaret said, "and I have an eviction notice for the current occupants." She walked forward and handed papers to the judge. My sister asked me to protect her husband. "That's what I'm doing." Judge Brennan read the eviction notice. "This appears to be in order. Mrs. Courtney Doyle and Mr. Travis Doyle have 72 hours to vacate the premises." Courtney's lawyer tried to object, but the judge cut him off. "Your client obtained possession through fraud. She has no legal right to remain in that house. If she's not out in 72 hours, the sheriff will remove her belongings to the curb." But Courtney wasn't there to be evicted. She was in county jail, held without bond given her flight risk and pattern of fraud. The hearing wrapped up quickly after that. All orders related to the conservatorship were voided. My accounts restored. The house secured. As we filed out of the courtroom, Travis caught up with me in the hallway. "Dad, I'm sorry. For all of it." "I know. Can we fix this? You and me?" I looked at my son. The man who'd betrayed me, who'd chosen his wife over his father, who'd been willing to lock me away in a nursing home to save his mortgage. "I don't know, Travis. I honestly don't know. I'm testifying against her. I'm telling the FBI everything. I'm trying to make it right. That's a start. But trust takes time to rebuild. If it can be rebuilt at all." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I understand." I left him standing there in the courthouse hallway. Over the next few days, the pieces fell into place. Margaret and I worked together to remove Travis's belongings from the house. He'd moved into a small apartment downtown. Courtney's things went into storage. She'd need them when she got out of prison. In about 15 years, if the prosecutor got his way, Dr. Pemberton took a plea deal, testified against Courtney. His medical license was permanently revoked. The 3 neighbors who provided false statements were questioned by the FBI. They claimed they'd been manipulated, didn't understand what they were signing. No charges were filed against them, but their relationships with me were done. I'd never trust them again. Julie stayed in touch. She felt vindicated after 7 years of knowing her sister got away with murder. Not literal murder, but close enough. Justice for her mother, finally. Chuck sent me his bill. It said $0 owed. Pro bono, he wrote. "People like Courtney need to be stopped." Glad I could help. Bernard restored the house to the way Gloria and I had it. Margaret helped. We spent a weekend putting Gloria's belongings back where they belonged. Her photo albums on the shelf, her coffee mug in the cupboard, the throw pillow she'd needle-pointed on the couch. Standing in the living room, looking at everything back in its place, I felt Gloria's presence. Like she was saying, "I told you to protect yourself." "You did, honey," I said aloud. "You saved me." Margaret hugged me. My sister knew. She always knew. That's why she insisted on the trust. She saw what Courtney was before any of us did. I should have listened better. You're here now. You're safe. That's what matters. A month after the hearing, I visited Gloria's grave again. Fresh flowers this time. Sat on the bench nearby and told her everything that had happened. "They tried to take it all," I said. "The house, the money, my freedom, everything we built together. But you stopped them. Even from the grave, you protected me." The wind rustled through the oak tree above her headstone. I like to think it was her, listening. "Travis is lost to us. Maybe not forever, but for now, he made his choices. He'll have to live with them." I paused. "I've been thinking about what you told me. About trust. About love. You said, 'Love without boundaries invites betrayal.' I understand that now. I thought loving Travis meant accepting everything, forgiving everything. But real love means holding people accountable, expecting them to be better." I sat there for a long time, just feeling close to her. That evening, back home in the house we built together, I made coffee and sat on the deck watching the sunset. The same deck where Gloria and I spent countless summer evenings. The same view. The same peace. I thought about everything I'd learned, about how evil doesn't always look like a stranger. Sometimes it marries your son and smiles while destroying your life. about how the people closest to you can be the ones you need to guard against most carefully, about how protecting yourself isn't selfish or paranoid, it's wisdom. I learned that trust should be earned, not given freely, that love and boundaries can coexist, that sometimes the people who claim to care for you are the ones planning your downfall. Most of all, I learned to listen to that voice in your gut when something feels wrong. Gloria's voice, warning me about Courtney years before she struck. My own instincts, telling me something was off about those medical reports and witness statements. We ignore those warnings at our peril. At 68 years old, I survived something that destroys many elderly people. Elder fraud is an epidemic in this country. Predators like Courtney hunt for vulnerable older adults, people who've just lost a spouse, people who trust too easily. They manipulate, they isolate, they steal everything, and leave their victims with nothing. I survived because Gloria prepared for this, because she loved me enough to protect me even after she was gone, because she understood that trust must be balanced with wisdom. The criminal case against Courtney took 6 months to make it to trial. She refused every plea deal, insisting she'd done nothing wrong. The jury disagreed, found her guilty on 12 counts of elder fraud, conspiracy, forgery, and medical fraud. The judge gave her 14 years in federal prison. Travis got probation and community service in exchange for his testimony. He'd lost his wife, his father's trust, and his self-respect. His punishment wasn't prison time. It was living with what he'd done. As for me, I'm still here, still in the house I built, still visiting Gloria's grave every Thursday, still grateful for every ordinary day. Life has a way of testing us. Sometimes the test comes from where we least expect it. But if we're wise enough to prepare, strong enough to fight, and blessed enough to have people who truly love us, we can survive even the darkest betrayals. Gloria taught me that. Her final gift to me was protection. Her wisdom, reaching from beyond the grave to save me one last time. I hope wherever she is, she knows I'm okay. I hope she knows her plan worked. I hope she knows I'll never stop being grateful for the woman who saw danger coming and built a wall to protect me. Some people say love is blind, but real love sees everything. It sees the threats, the dangers, the people who would do harm, and real love takes action to protect what matters most. That's the lesson I want to share. Protect yourself. Protect the people you love. Don't assume family means safety. Don't assume love means trust without verification. Be wise. Be prepared. And listen when someone who loves you warns you about danger. I'm 70 now. I've lived a long life, been through good times and terrible ones, lost the love of my life, and nearly lost everything else to greed and manipulation. But I'm still standing, still here in the house Gloria and I built, still grateful for every sunrise. That's victory. Not just surviving, but standing on your own 2 feet in your own home, secure in the knowledge that you fought back and won. Gloria would be proud. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever dealt with someone who seemed trustworthy, but turned out to be manipulative? Someone in your family or close circle who made you question your own judgment? How did you handle it? Did you see the warning signs in time? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your story might help someone else recognize the danger before it's too late. If this story moved you or taught you something valuable, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding the strength to overcome them. And share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who's dealing with a difficult family situation or questioning whether they're being manipulated. Your share could be the warning that saves someone from what I went through. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope you never face what I faced. But if you do, I hope you have the wisdom to protect yourself and the courage to fight back. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And remember, trust is earned, not given. Love means holding people accountable. And protecting yourself is not just smart, it's necessary. Until next time, may you find peace in your home and wisdom in your choices.